The woman scattered playing cards into the air. The moment the cards twisted, hordes of monsters burst through the void, plummeting into every corner of the city. Within mere minutes, the entire city was transformed into a living hell. And the source of it all was Kongja, known as the god. Not long ago, he had burst into the man's room, intending to bind him and take him back. Just a split second before he succeeded, Mero burst through the door. Kujur reacted with lightning speed, blending his body into the wall. But Mero gave him no chance, kicking him violently through the air. Kujur seized the opportunity to grab Mero's leg, slamming him into the ground. Then came a flying kick. Mero met it head-on with a punch. The moment they collided, a terrifying shockwave exploded around them. Both were sent flying backward. In terms of raw power, they were evenly matched, but he never relied on one-on-one combat to win. The next second, Mero unleashed countless clones. Kujur, looking down from above, swept away most of the clones with her feather. Even if any slipped through, she was confident she couldn't lose in midair. But she didn't expect Mero to sneak up behind her under the cover of the clones. Mero's fist struck her squarely in the face. However, Kujur possessed a mucus ability that granted physical immunity, neutralizing the impact. He was her absolute nemesis. Suddenly, Kongja pulled out a deck of playing cards. She explained that she'd stayed to face Mero, because she hadn't taken her seriously at first. But now she acknowledged Mero's strength. This wasn't an execution, it was a battle. And her orders were to avoid combat. Once the fighting began, she had to flee. So she used the playing cards to buy time. Each card sealed a monster. The moment they emerged in droves, the entire city turned into a living hell. The others couldn't arrive in time to help. If Mero wanted to save the people in the city, he'd have to watch Kujur leave. But Mero chose to save them all. His cloning ability had two modes: sufficient power or sufficient numbers. This time, he chose the latter. Mero unleashed his clones with all his might, their numbers reaching an unprecedented limit. They surged into every corner of the city. Just as a mother and daughter were about to be devoured by a monster, Mero descended from the sky and knocked it down with a single punch. For a moment, the entire city was filled with Mero. A disaster that should have destroyed the city, resulted in no casualties. But among the monsters were elite-class beings that the clones couldn't harm. Fortunately, Kyoka arrived and slashed at the monster with a single stroke. Then, the clones relayed information from Kujur, instructing Kyoka to protect the male lead. Meanwhile, the massive number of clones caused Mero's stamina to plummet. Kujur thought he couldn't hold on any longer, and was already waving goodbye from the sky. But Mero laughed. "You're a god, and yet you're trying to run away?" Those words hit a nerve. Kujur's smile froze. She decided that before leaving, she would teach Mero a lesson. Mero leaped forward and landed a punch. That single blow triggered Kujur's second stage. A casual punch was enough to shatter the clones, and she began to observe closely. This meant her feints from earlier would no longer work, but she hadn't anticipated that Mero hadn't used a feint at all. Instead, she unleashed a rapid-fire barrage, so fast that the mucus shield couldn't keep up. Kujur admitted that if the clones hadn't drained so much of her stamina, that single strike would have been enough to take her life. They fought once more, but this time, Kujur completely devoured Mero, bit by bit.